This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, getting you ready for today's sports day.
3 of the first 4 games have been at home, so at some point in time you're going to have to venture outside the 806, so that'll start this week.
While having a little fun along the way.
Always good if you can blame it on somebody else, right?
Yeah, sure.
Especially some media guy.
Sure. Right, some media guy.
Catch the show live weekday mornings from 6 to 9 on Lubbock Sports Station, Double T 97.3.
Would you be inspired if some bloke like me said you must participate, or does that turn you off?
I don't know if inspired is the right word.
I'm looking to inspire.
What if I respected your opinion? I'm like, okay, all right, well, if Chuck says I should do it, then I should do it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I didn't know that you always. Well, sometimes you don't respect me. You always respect my opinion. You don't always agree with it. How about that?
Sure.
Yeah. Hey, one last thing that they were talking about on the Astro broadcast last night, and this was in the late stages of the game when it was basically over. They were talking about there was a shift on, okay? And the guys were saying, this is the last time you're going to see the shift because, next year you got to have 2 players on each side of second base, okay? Mm-hmm. But they were saying that they felt like the pitch clock would affect things more than the shift. And the reason that they said that was that the basic, your basically rest time in between pitches would affect the pitcher's velocity because there was like a 97 mile an hour fastball, and they just commented on, and they said that basically that time that you get, in between pitches, when it's lessened like that would affect the speed of the pitchers. And that wouldn't, maybe in essence, put the ball in play a little bit more.
Yeah, maybe.
I just wondered if you'd buy into that, some of that.
I think it's a possibility. We'll have to see.
Do you think the shift will be bigger than, do you think the shift will be a big change for baseball? Think we'll go back to some manufacturing of runs, or do you think that those days are gone?
I wouldn't say manufacturing of runs. I just think that you'll see more hits, I guess, on ground balls through the infield. Yeah. Rather than just straight up home runs. Is that what you mean by manufacturing?
Yeah.
Okay.
You get somebody on second, maybe they hit a double, and you actually bunt them over to third and then try to get a sacrifice at least to get them home.
I don't think it'll lead to more sacrificing.
Okay.
I think it'll lead to more 3-hit innings or whatever that turn into a run rather than you can only score with home runs. Okay,
walks in. You get your Jimmy Jacks, but because you had somebody get 2 walks and then a home run hitter. Jimmy Jack. Mm-hmm. Any opinion on the New Jersey Nets? I mean, we don't talk hardly any NBA, and I'm grateful for that, but man, what a mess it seems like the New Jersey Nets are. First you got Kyrie Irving and his anti-Semitic tweets and basically refusing to kind of come off of his tweet and standing down and, acknowledging that, maybe I should have been a little more sensitive. It's kind of like, man, it just seemed to me like, boy, that, for all his stances, and things, very odd and very inappropriate, and it almost makes me wonder, well, if it had been somebody else, how would they have been tarred and feathered, so to speak?
Oh, goodness, yes.
It's just like, it's okay for me to say all these things, but don't go saying these things about, and I don't want to get into, politics and a racial discussion, but boy, it sure seemed like for him to say those things is just, it's uncalled for. It's completely inappropriate. It's just it was unbelievable. And now for the Nets to fire Steve Nash is one thing, but for them to hire Ime Udoka, who lost his job with the Celtics for, among other things, having an affair with a front office worker, but then it was even a little bit more than that, in terms of the harassment and the things that took place as a result of that. For the Nets to just be able to hire him, it seems really odd for the NBA to allow that, even though it wasn't the NBA that suspended him. It's just like, well, you talk about all the wrong looks for a league that tries to paint themselves as holier than thou sometimes.
I'll just say this. So this morning, I get up and really it was the same last night before I went to bed. One of the last things I always do before I go to sleep, I just, click on the ESPN app and I look at the, 6 or 8 headlines, see if there's anything there that's interesting to me. And 75% of the time there's not. And every once in a while there is. And the last night I'm like, man, what a rough day. I mean, we have this situation where the Nets are basically going to look at the Celtics, what the Celtics did, and said, this guy was a terrible human being. We've suspended him for a year. And the Nets are like, bring him on.
He's a good coach.
Bring him on.
Yeah.
Okay. And again, we've talked about this before. Sometimes when one of your players does something wrong, okay, you have to back him. Okay. Hey, he had he did this wrong, but, he's our guy. We're going to stick with him. So he's suspended, but, we're going to be here to support him. And hopefully when he comes back, we'll be here to help him stay on the straight and narrow. Okay. I get that a little bit. But when you're taking when somebody else is a bad dude somewhere else and you're like, we want him. We want the bad dude in our organization. All that we've worked towards, it feels like in the last 4 or 5 years where, it's not been okay to harass people, whether it be physically or verbally or all that. Some would say we're softer now, or some would say that we're more sensitive now. And there's truth to that. But I also think there's been good in what has happened the past 4 or 5 years where coaches are realizing it's not okay to, just absolutely berate your athletes, okay? Especially if they're college level student athletes, okay? Well, that's not okay. And it's not okay to treat, female athletes different than male athletes and all of these kind of things. And I feel like we've learned, although again, I think there's some truth to we're overly sensitive and a little bit softer than we used to be. I feel like we've moved in a direction that says, okay, we're learning that you can't treat people terribly just because you're a coach or you're an athlete or you're a GM or whatever. We've moved in the right direction. And and we've seen it from these different organizations where, hey, this guy's treated women poorly in this organization. We're going to get rid of him. The Sun situation, right? The Redskins situation where they're under investigation now. Commanders, whatever. Okay, right. All the above, right? I probably just offended someone by saying Redskins. All the above. We've moved forward, right? And the Nets are going, no, we're going backwards. Right. This guy was a jerk in Boston. He was terrible. And every account that you hear is that it's way worse than him just having an affair. Yes. They kept it on the down low to protect him and all that kind of stuff. It's way worse than him just having an affair, a consensual affair. And the Nets are like, yeah, bring him on. Bring him on. And the NBA's like, yeah, we want this guy in the league. Yeah, we felt like the Celtics did the right thing, but yeah, sure, he can come coach the Nets right now. I mean, what in the world? So the point I was making is, so last night before I go to bed, I said this story, okay? And then you see Michigan State suspends 4 more. And then you see the story about Britt Reed, okay, that he only gets 3 years probation or 3 years in jail, which feels like he needs to be in jail forever. Okay. Yeah. And with his drunk driving case that he ruined the life of an infant. Okay. And I'm just like, oh, gosh, what a disgusting day in sports.
Yeah. And, as far as Reed is concerned, he got 3. The prosecutors wanted 7. It's just terrible. And yet still, and frankly, still no culpability put on the Chiefs other than they've made a settlement with the family because he was drinking at the stadium in the office. And who was he drinking with? Was he drinking by himself? Did the team provide the alcohol? Was he, there's been basically no reveal of that.
Just a really bad day in sports yesterday. Yeah. It felt like.
It's kind of a dirty, slimy kind of day.
I agree. If you weren't already done with the NBA, I mean, this story with the Nets just blows my mind. It makes me even more done with the NBA.
First of all, the Celtics should have fired Udoka without question. I mean, I think they had some hopes that he would come back and coach them because he was, quote, a good floor coach. But man, what he did and what they've kind of swept under the rug It's unbelievable. And then what Kyrie's been doing with his mouth is just, it's incredible that somebody could have that opinion in 2022. But I guess there's still people out there like that.
Getting your sports day started the right way. This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, breaking down the biggest games.
If Texas Tech does not win the Big 12 football conference, who are you rooting for to win the conference if Tech does not win it this year?
Well, busting some chops along the way.
I hold back on sending you stuff. I mean, I'm very, very, very judicious.
We spend 3 hours a day, 5 days a week together. Why would we need to communicate during the weekends?
Right,
Save it for the show.
We do. We save it for the show.
Tune into the Morning Drive live weekdays from 6 to 9 on Lubbock Sports Station, Double T 97.3.
November 2nd, 2022, 11/2/22. Here's Jeff McGuire.
Going to start in 1934 today. Seemed like a fun year to start. Major League Baseball we are having a problem talking today, and it was been like since 4 o'clock. I apologize.
Slow down.
Major League Baseball All-Star team led by Connie Mack, including Babe Ruth, Jimmy Fox, and Lou Gehrig, start their 18-game tour in Japan, against the Big Six University League. Now, we heard about them leaving for Japan early last week. So,
they finally got there. This is a money deal. That's why they did. I mean, because they didn't make a whole lot of money.
Right, and it's also exposure for Major League Baseball at that point, too. 1947, the Ryder Cup took place. U.S. wins the first post-World War II event 11-1. Ben Hogan was the American captain. 1960, New York Yankees outfielder Roger Maris beats teammate Mickey Mantle for the American League MVP. The score, 225-222. The second closest vote ever.
Do you know what the closest is?
I don't.
Okay.
Do you?
No. It's
well, that didn't help.
I'm being unfair. I'm sorry.
1964, Columbia Broadcasting System, also known as CBS, buys an 80% share in the New York Yankees baseball club for $11.2 million. Later, they would purchase the remaining 20% of the franchise.
And they were awful while CBS owned them.
1972, Philadelphia Phillies pitcher Steve Carlton is unanimously selected as the National League Cy Young Award winner. He had won 27 games for the Phillies that year. The Phillies as a team only won 59.
Crazy.
1974, Atlanta Braves trade then Major League Baseball home run king Hank Aaron to Milwaukee for outfielder Dave May. 1988, A's shortstop Walt Weiss wins the AL Rookie of the Year. He is the third straight Oaklander to win the award. Can you name the other two?
What was the year again?
88.
Jose Canseco was in there.
That's one.
Was Dave Stewart in there?
Not Dave Stewart.
It was a pitcher, though, right?
It was not a pitcher.
Oh, it was not a pitcher. Was it Matt somebody?
Mac would be a nickname he used.
Mark McGuire.
Mark McGuire.
Okay.
And in 2016, the Chicago Cubs beat the Cleveland Indians 8-7 in Game 7 at Progressive Field. First Cubs title since 1908. It is National Deviled Egg Day.
I am completely out on the deviled egg. Are you?
I've never tried one. I never will.
I mean,
I'm not just a huge fan of boiled eggs.
No, I am not at all. That's why I've never gone near deviled eggs.
yeah,
That's one of those things.
I don't care for the smell of them.
Yes, me neither.
And the look of them.
And the egg salad.
Yeah, the whole deal.
That whole deal.
Just makes my tummy turn.
I like eggs, but I don't like hard-boiled and anything that has to do with all that.
I'm pretty much just a scrambled egg guy or an omelet guy.
Me too.
Which is basically just a scrambled eggs with cheese.
Right.
I like green pepper.
Sure.
Right, but you start, like, the difference, it starts with adding just cheese to it, and then you add the other things.
Yeah.
Happy birthday, former Red Raider wide receiver, New England Patriot, Houston Texan, Denver Bronco. Danny Amendola turns 37 today.
Oh, I was going to guess Wes Welker.
I was too.
All of those would be true.
Well, he didn't mention Detroit Lion.
David Schwimmer is 56. Nelly is 47. Jimmy Garoppolo is 30. And Kumar Rocker is 22.
Saw him pitching in the fall league yesterday.
And on this day in 1947, the Spruce Goose made its one and only flight with Howard Hughes at the controls because everybody else thought the plane wouldn't fly. Shows you what we knew.
It barely flew, and then he parked it.
Well, barely flew was the key there. And that is this day in sports history.
Okay, now time for our secret word of the day. It's brought to you by the Home Zone. Thank you. Making your house a home, and we're going to give somebody $10,000 on November the 18th. Today is Wednesday, November 2nd at 6:45. You really don't want these in your yard or your golf course. They really like them in Minnesota. Gophers. Gophers is your word. Okay, Gophers. Gophers. It's your secret word of the day. So if you'd like to enter that into the contest, go to doublet973.com. Put your name in the hat. Somebody will get qualified. And on November the 18th, you could hear your name called out. And we'll give you $10,000 in our secret word contest that we have folks here in Lubbock winning, hopefully, or somebody within these parts. Have you been calling the qualified people?
I have not.
Okay.
I'll start emailing them later this week.
Okay, so
I don't usually call. You get an email.
You get an email.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that probably is easier to do. You got it right there, and don't have to talk to anybody. And once you hit send, then you can walk away, right?
Most people don't want phone calls.
Most do not.
Yes.
Okay. They would just prefer a text or
an email. Text or an email. Yes.
Text or an email.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So be looking for Jamie's email coming to a box near you.
That's right.
Potentially.
Mm-hmm.
So give us a good email that you check. Not one. Oh man, I just never look at that one. Never look at that email. That's my personal email. This time you need to look for Jamie's email because you might win $10,000 or you might miss out on it.
That's right. You don't want to do that.
Secret word is Gophers. Okay, going back to the MVP vote, the closest. One year it was tied. 1979, Willie Stargell and Keith Hernandez in the National League MVP race each had 216.
Oh, wow.
Great years for both those guys, for both Hernandez and for Stargell. In 1947, there was also a 1-point difference between these were two really good players. I'm certain they had good years. Joe DiMaggio edges out Ted Williams 202 to 201. I bet you that was quite the little debate. In 1944, these are guys you've probably never ever heard of. Marty Marion and Bill Nicholson. Marion from the Cardinals and Nicholson from the Chicago Cubs were 1 point away. And then in 2017, also 2 points away, Giancarlo Stanton with the Miami Marlins and Joey Votto with the Cincinnati Reds. Stanton was the MVP and Votto was the runner-up. So there you go. It's just a little tidbit of knowledge for you to walk around with. Okay, we want you to have tidbits.
Yes, we do.
Conversation starters for today's, coffee pot discussion, things along those lines. We will have the high school fan zone on the air for you tonight. Friendship and Lubbock Cooper. Both those schools have deep playoff aspirations and big game for Friendship on Friday night. They'll take on San Angelo Central. Should be a really full stadium over there at Tiger Stadium. So take your radio to the ball game.
So, yep.
Yeah. 6:30 the broadcast time, 7 o'clock kick. And then the Lubbock Cooper Pirates will travel to take on Amarillo Caprock, or just Caprock in Amarillo. We'll have it for you on 100.7 The Score at 6:30 and then play-by-play at 7. This is the last week of the regular season. Crazy to think that.
Playoffs are upon us almost.
Playoffs are upon us. We'll have Coronado at Tascosa tomorrow night at 6:45 on Oldies 97.7. So that kind of take you through the high school stuff for this week, and then it's on to basketball season. They're getting ready for that, and they'll be next week for the high schoolers too.
I think a lot of teams will probably start this weekend.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. I think the Friendships have the varsity has a game, an actual game on Saturday.
On Saturday?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Scrimmages this week and last weekend, all that good stuff. So it's getting going.
Getting going.
You're listening to the Morning Drive podcast from Lubbock Sports Station, Double T 97.3, recapping the night that was in the world of sports.
A little bit later on tonight, we'll have the Astros and the Diamondbacks. That'll be at 8. And then the Rangers playing at Seattle tonight.
And also bringing some humor to your day.
Was it pretty big?
Yeah. I mean,
impressive?
Yeah.
Was it fascinating?
I thought it was fascinating. It kind of smelled, but I mean.
Hear the show live weekday mornings at 6 on Double T 97.3 or on the Double T 97.3 mobile app.
Hey, good morning. It is 7:01 this morning on the Morning Drive. Nice to have you with us. With Jamie Lent and Jeff McGuire, I'm Chuck Heinz. It's Wednesday, the day the work gets done. You got a big day today?
Every day.
Every day?
Today's a big day.
Yeah.
I get to do the morning drive. That's big.
Yeah, man, that's is that the highlight or is that the low light? It's like are we the hump that gets you over your day?
We're the tip off to the day.
Tip off to the day.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's definitely
the
the
fun
first light
starts.
of the day.
What's that?
It's definitely the first light of the day.
Mm-hmm.
The first light of the day. We bring you out of the darkness into the light. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't know. We're actually bringing you out of the dark. There's just a little bit of light at the end.
We come to you this morning from the First United Bank Double T 97.3 studio. Look forward to your thoughts, comments, and the Yates Flooring Center chat line. Benchmark hotline is open as well. We get this from PJ. Chuck would love a phone call with regard to, if I was entered in to win something and somebody called me. Mm-hmm. And Jamie said, you should call him 1-800-ARKANSAS is my name.
Is that the right number of letters or numbers? I didn't count them up. But
I have no idea. No, I don't. I think you've got too many letters.
One
in
too
there.
many.
Yeah.
But here's the catch. You could still put it in and the phone would still ring.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Let's talk omelets, asparagus, smoked Gouda, mushrooms, and bacon. Ugh. Man, I'm a meat lover. Omelet with the bell peppers and the onions and.
None of those are meat, right?
Well, I know that plus sausage and bacon. Okay, with hot sauce.
that was funny, Jeff.
But you're right. I do know that none of those were meat. We get this. Y'all doing good? This morning, it's Cactus Week. You think there'll be a lot of folks that'll show up at the stadium with cacti? Or the cacti be at the tailgates? Or is that kind of past, or will it get reinvigorated because of this week?
I would guess the folks at TCU aren't going to allow cactuses in the building.
In the stadium? Okay.
I mean, you going to carry around a potted cactus?
I don't know.
They come in travel sizes.
Yeah.
You got 2 of them on the desk.
You want to carry that around at a
I don't want to
football
carry
game?
a clay pot around at a football game with a saucer.
Well, you got to have something to catch the extra water.
Yeah. No, I think there'll probably be some tailgate. I'd be curious to see how big the crowd is from a Texas Tech standpoint. Because we've seen it before where Red Raiders go in there and take over Amon Carter. Of course, this year the folks at TCU put the kibosh on any of that. You would think at 8-0 that they wouldn't have any problems selling tickets. It'll just be interesting to see what the stadium really looks like.
To see if it's full of Red Raiders or have a large amount of Red Raiders. TCU's done everything they could to keep a bunch of Red Raiders there. That they are challenged by this whole deal. And so if TCU fans are ever going to go, it's going to be to this game.
Yeah.
It's going to be to this game. And, we heard the comment last week from the Baylor player about fake fans and all that. while I don't think we have fake fans or whatever, I think our propensity to leave early, no matter the score, is, I don't know. It just, there's a little part of me that says, if that's what we're going to do here, we probably should slow down on the criticizing of other schools' fans.
I think that's fair. And do you think we're on par with other schools in the Big 12, or do you think we're worse at leaving early?
That's hard for me to say, Chuck, just because I don't, not at other stadiums.
Yeah.
I've not noticed on television watching other games and thinking to myself, oh, their fans are all leaving.
Yeah, we don't know what their east side looks like or their west side looks like.
I've not noticed that before, so it's probably similar. Probably. It would be my guess.
Would be my guess, too.
But I don't know. I don't know that for certain. I know we don't leave early during basketball. That's kind of not a thing for basketball. It's kind of not a thing for baseball. We don't. Our fans don't leave, halfway through the second half in basketball.
Right.
I mean, the 7th inning stretch doesn't say go to your car for Tech baseball fans.
And it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out. Time to go to your car.
That was nice. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't think we have. We're dealing with a fan base in football that's sad or pathetic or anything like that. But there's just part of me that says, maybe we need to back off being so critical of TCU when. The Baylor guy unfortunately was right. Our fans were leaving, and before the game was was over. And again, I get it, you're down 2 scores in the fourth quarter. It doesn't look good, but stranger things have happened. Yeah,
and the those that hadn't left once the pick 6 occurred, then that was a mass exodus. But there had already been a pretty big mass exodus prior to that. And you're only and look, there have been times when we've been leading in the fourth quarter and people have left, which I just don't understand. This business of I want to get to my car so I can avoid the traffic. Well, you're really not. You're creating the traffic. And it slays me sometimes to see all these people living like, where are you going?
I'm not even trying to criticize them. You spent the money to go. You got paid for your ticket. You did what you do you. Okay. But it feels hypocritical to me if we're now criticizing TCU for what their fan base does.
Absolutely.
If we're leaving games too.
Yeah. No,
okay?
I think that's...
maybe you could say at least ours show up, and maybe that's fair.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But again, it's just odd to me because wouldn't you guess there's a whole lot of crossover between Texas Tech football fans and Texas Tech basketball fans, Chuck?
Mm-hmm.
Right? You would?
Yeah.
I would guess there's a lot of the same people.
Yeah.
But we don't leave our basketball games early, but we leave football games early. Mm-hmm. I don't understand.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I don't either. There have been times when at basketball games when I've seen people go to the concourse, in the late stages of the game, and that's always puzzled me as well. You'll see a crowd of folks on the concourse.
Just because they want to mingle and chat?
No, because in the waning moments of the game so they can scurry out to their car.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess if they're still in the arena and still cheering, I guess I don't have an issue with that.
Yeah, we got their coat and, Claude's got mod, they're like, come on, let's go.
Yeah.
Let's see. Jamie, at least we sell the place out. They put tarps over their seats, Dan in Dallas. Well, we haven't sold every game out.
I don't know that we've sold them all out.
Saturday's game. I will say this,
and I said that before, Dan. I did say at least ours. At least we're showing up at some point. Mm-hmm. We just leave early. I get it.
I can't, and unlike TCU, I can't ever remember a time where Jones Stadium was taken over by the other fans.
Very fair. 100%.
I've missed.
In football, yes. You're right. I can remember in basketball it was taken over by a couple of different fan bases.
Okay.
I remember
It's
having
been quite some time, though.
It's been a while, but
I can remember having more KU fans than I'd want, but I never felt like they took over our building.
Yeah.
You disagree?
yes,
KU?
KU is one of them.
Yeah, I would disagree wholeheartedly.
Yeah, I would tell you that there were more. There's always been more Red Raiders. Way, 2/3 to 7/8 more than the other fans. But anyway, I just don't. I can't remember it. We've never had our stadium overtaken by the other fans. Not since I've been watching for about the last 30 years. 7:10 this morning on the Morning Drive.
You're tuned in to the Morning Drive podcast from Double T 97.3, recapping the night that was in the world of sports.
That's not to say that they don't respect the run game that you have, but you're talking about one quarterback leading the conference in passing so far this year. And remember, he didn't start the first game.
All right.
Still played a lot, though.
And also bringing some humor to your day.
I just don't want to disappoint you. As much as I disappoint you, I don't want to disappoint you in some things that you expect from me.
Hear the show live weekday mornings at 6 on Double T 97.3 or on the Double T 97.3 mobile app. Jamie's question of the day on Double T 97.3 is presented by Bizarre Solutions. Call them today for a free cybersecurity audit.
Sometimes I feel like this is a little bit like Stump the Band, so...
When have I asked a question that stumped you, except when you answered a math problem with a state?
Well, I mean, they're deep thinking. They're not like just A, B, or C. It's not like multiple guess. They're like essay questions. We're answering with our mouths.
Are you mad because I've never asked you if you're like giddy?
Oh no, no.
About an upcoming season or upcoming game.
I'd probably fall out of my chair if you asked me that.
I'm just glad we don't have to bring a Scantron to work in order to answer Jamie's question of the day. So I will take the essay format.
My first question is: Did
Scantron
little crisscross there? Was there a reason for that one? Was there a
something fun
theme that I missed? Okay,
something fun.
I was wondering too. Crisscross, is that who that was?
That is. Mm-hmm. They'll make you jump, Chuck.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I recognized the tune. I just didn't know the name of it.
Mm-hmm. Did you wear your jeans backwards back in the day when they were hot?
I actually wore a pair of jeans the other day for the first time in I don't know months, probably back to March. And I know you're not a jean wearing guy really either.
I am not.
I am wearing them right now.
Yeah, no, I know.
I know. You.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
When I thought of you when I put on my jeans, I'm like, man, I told my wife, I haven't had a pair of jeans on since like March. And I said, Jamie doesn't wear jeans at all.
It's a little unsettling that he thinks of me so much.
Well, just certain things, certain times of the day, or things just remind me of you. And I feel the propensity to share and probably overshare.
Mm-hmm. Well, if I shared less about my opinions, then you wouldn't think about things like that.
You've been a pretty good sharer here lately, so I've been proud of you for kind of giving us a peek behind the curtain. All right, what's your pregunta here today?
Okay, I'm gonna flip over to Red Raider basketball because I don't want to come anywhere close to the wrath of Jeff McGuire again and ask a question about football that he's unhappy about.
Okay,
I'm gonna ask you a simple one today. This one's really simple.
Okay.
Which newcomer are you the most excited about seeing and kind of figuring out exactly what his game looks like at this level?
Well, I would tell you this based on what I saw at the Monday night preview. Okay, Elijah Fisher is I think a guy that could be pretty exciting. I know probably the popular answer is Pop Isaacs. He's the freshman from Vegas.
Well, Fisher's rated higher.
Yeah.
Why would Pop be the...
I don't know, because it just seemed like Pop got more pop, and all the...
Does he have a real name, or is it really Pop?
Well, it's...
On the roster, it's Pop.
On the roster, it's Pop.
His full name is Richard Corey Isaacs.
Okay, so do we want to call him Richard?
No, it feels like he's never called Richard Corey Isaacs, so I think you should go with Pop. That just feels like that's who he is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I bet he's got a cool story about how he got the nickname.
He's got a sister named Phoenix. Okay. He's got a brother named Tremaine and another brother named Jermaine. And then a brother named Derek with a D-E-R-I-C. But anyway, Elijah Fisher, I you know, what are you laughing at? Just
random thoughts.
I know. Well, Jermaine and Tremaine. I was just thinking about Jermaine, come on, time for dinner. You know, kind of.
Is there anything else you'd like to read from the bio? For,
no,
like what his birthday is,
I thought it was fascinating. You know,
what he's majoring in.
Right? No. Well, you asked. I mean, so I was just trying to help.
I didn't ask what his siblings' names were.
Asked. You know, Fisher is is the 5-star from ESPN, Rivals, and 24/7 Sports. Had 21 offers from programs. I'm looking at his bio now. But anyway, he looks like he's got game. He's 6'6". He's a guard. You know, and
hearing good things about his defense too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Looks like a playmaker. So anyway, he chose the Red Raiders over KU, Baylor, Kentucky, Memphis, and Florida. Those are pretty good programs. Mm-hmm. You know, and I'm always the guy that looks at that and going, well, who did he pick us over? Who did she pick us over? If it's like Sweetwater State, then I'm like, oh, geez. Or if it's like, you know, like somebody that's like real programs, then it always impresses me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Did you say that about Wes Welker?
Oh, well, I wasn't on the radio. Okay. You know, I wasn't talking daily for a living then.
Because I don't think he picked us over anybody that was good.
We picked him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. And
that worked out that time. But you're right. I mean, I'm just joking with you. The majority of the time, that's a good gauge of how good a player is, you know, which other teams also thought very highly of him. Mm-hmm. I think that's totally fair.
Yeah.
I think most people probably do that.
Jeff, who do you think?
I'm not going a player here. I'm not. I'm going Steve Green. For what he brings to the offense, he ton of coaching experience that he's got to add to this staff. And we all know Mark Adams is the king of defense. We also know in order to win, you got to put the ball through the hoop. So I'm how this offense is going to look with all of the pieces, new and old, is predominantly what he was brought in for. I'm curious to see how that looks overall.
Well, I like that answer. That's a fun answer.
Okay,
that's different.
That's different. Yeah,
and I too would agree that I'm anxious to see what the offense looks like this year compared to last year. So that's
because you're right. I mean, that's why they made a change there.
Yeah, I think to me, Fardaws is the guy that has the potential to be the biggest impact player, right? That's a newcomer.
Yeah.
So I would definitely put him on the list. But I think, quietly, Davion Harmon, who's got plenty of experience at Power 5 level as well, is another transfer that I think is a guy that's really intriguing to me.
He is a really energetic guy. I had a chance to meet him last week at the Suited Up for Success event that I went to, where you dined and learned how to meet and greet, and so that was he was very engaging, very smile on his face, and he was
probably 2 or 3 years out of high school makes a difference there, right?
Yeah,
probably a little more confident, and understanding, maybe a little more comfortable talking to old white guys and all that good stuff.
Well, I think he and Tatum Weitenheimer was there and some others were there. So, I mean, I was just, just.
You were in your element.
I was in my element. I was chewing the fat. Well, I mean, that's what I do. I've also kind of connected a little bit, and I made a point of emphasis of going and talking to him. And you'll be embarrassed by this, but I went and talked to Daniel Baccio about him being a 7-footer, and he told me that.
I'm not embarrassed. You don't represent me. You are Chuck Heinz.
Anyway, he shot down my. I said, I've been campaigning for this. He said, I'm not 7 foot, not even in my shoes. He's closer to.
Shocking that you asked the kid to be a liar and
6'10".
The young man, good for him.
Yeah. So,
all right, Daniel Baccio is now my favorite player.
But he did tell me that AMAC would be a candidate for that. He does feel like that AMAC is taller than him, and that would potentially be a candidate for being listed as a 7-footer. So I'm going to target Fardaws AMAC to be listed at 7 feet.
Picture of Baccio recently, and he looks, to me, I don't know, maybe I'm just misremembering back to last year, but he looks much thicker through the chest and the arms
Okay.
than I remember from last year, which is good to see.
Yeah, he was at the Lady Raider game last night. A number of the guys, I think Elijah Fisher was at the game last night, Kevin O'Banner. But apparently a lot of those guys, and they go to practice, and there's good relations between both squads. So that's good. They support each other. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's my take on things. And O'Banner, I've talked to him a couple of times. I've found him to be, a nice fella as well.
Good.
Not that I'm going to tell you if they're a bad fella, but I mean, generally speaking, had good conversation. Maybe they felt sorry for me and they just wanted to talk to me. I have no idea, but
they felt sorry and wanted to talk to you, or were just polite and talked.
Oh,
back
look at
to
that
you?
crazy guy over there. We should go be nice to him.
Probably something like that.
Your morning blend of sports,
K-State is coming off a big win over Oklahoma. Of course, the Red Raiders off their 37-34 overtime win over number 22 Texas.
and humor.
Sure to tell them that. You suggested that. And, of course, that got a big laugh.
This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3. Catch the show live weekdays from 6 to 9 on Double T 97.3 FM or on the Double T 97.3 mobile app.
Hey, good morning. It's old Mr. Humble here with Jamie Lent and Jeff McGuire. Nice to have you with us this morning on the Morning Drive. Thoughts, comments, Yates Flooring Center chat line. Go to doublet97.3.com for that, or the mobile app. Benchmark hotline is open as well, 806-771-0973. We come to you from the First United Bank Double T 97.3 studio. So now Chuck is beating his chest about costing Snead the win. I really wasn't beating my chest, and in doing so, tainting the win for the other person. Once again, all about Chuck. LOL.
I'm all up in that, homie.
That was a really funny story. That was
Dang, Chuck, who else do you not like at Double T Radio? Okay. Chuck, haven't you literally pounded your chest for a contest, Tarzan or something? Yes. You
injured yourself doing it?
Yeah,
Is that right?
Yeah, right. I bet Chuck hasn't made the same mismatched belt and shoe mistake again. It was an honest mistake.
I bet he won't. Yeah.
I'm usually pretty cognizant of that. I
bet he learned from that.
I just, try to look nice, and I was trying to do something nice for somebody, and then he takes a shot at me, so I took a shot back.
I don't think he really took a shot. He just told him what he should go do with himself.
Right. Right. I think he fessed up to me later that he deserved it. Of course, he played it out.
The funniest part about all of that is that Level had said it to you numerous times before.
Well,
on other days when you had made the same mistake.
I dress in the dark, and sometimes
this day and that's why Level thought it was just a funny joke. Chuck will laugh it off, and you didn't laugh it off this time.
I didn't laugh it off. I didn't. Bobby Hot Dog says this: JL, you need to take a morning off soon and have Snead fill, and they can have a chest beating contest to settle their differences. Red Raider.
Don't tempt me.
Nailed it, Jeff. Juan, Chuck song. Did you tell the missus that Juan works on her camp eye as well?
I forgot.
That thinks she's a nice lady.
I only saw her for very limited time yesterday. So. True story.
Only saw her for just a little bit. Yeah. This Tech Athletics had a costume competition on Monday, and a group from the Red Raider Club all dressed up as Rodney Allison.
Oh, that's awesome.
They were the winners. Yeah, that's really cool.
Nice.
As they should have been. Anytime you can promote Rodney Allison, I'm a fan.
Okay.
All around good dude.
There's no question. Period. End of exclamation point, right? Right. All right, 8:05 this morning. I'm curious what you think about this. This came down yesterday morning. The Duncanville boys basketball team had its 2022 state championship stripped, and the girls team was banned from this year's playoffs. This came from the UIL yesterday. In addition, David Peavy, the boys coach, and the girls coach, LaJenna Howard, have each received a year of suspension over the violations. Peavy and Howard get an additional 3 years of probation. They were reprimanded by the executive committee. They ruled that Duncanville had to forfeit all games in which then senior point guard Anthony Black played. He was also named the most valuable player as Duncanville beat McKinney by 20 points, 69-49. McKinney has now been named the new state champion. The game will be recorded as a 2-0 victory.
Sweet. Do they get rings and all that?
I would imagine. Black was a 5-star recruit who signed with Arkansas, number 2 player in Texas. And basically, in October of last year, the executive committee of the UIL had ruled him ineligible to compete after he transferred from Capel to Duncanville. His mother then filed a restraining order against the UIL, which allowed her son to play last season. But the Texas Supreme Court on September 30th has now vacated that order and sided with the UIL. Black's mother was dating Peavy at the time, and
they're since married.
They're now engaged.
Okay.
They're now engaged.
Okay.
So the former Duncanville mayor and according to this article, Panthers fanatic Cliff Boyd told WFAA last night that he knows Peavy and Black's mother personally, that the move was about becoming a family and not about adding to a win column. He said it was hard watching Black endure all of this last season of the coach and his fiance's efforts to become a family. This was not a sham of any sort. It was about putting 2 families together for the betterment of the kids and the spouses. You buying that?
I see with this one, Chuck, I'll be honest with you. I just feel like there's more information that we don't know.
Okay.
Okay.
That can be fair.
I mean, the fact that they're engaged to be married makes me feel like, okay, that seems pretty legitimate.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, I have no idea. I mean, you've heard stories about Mr. Peavy, Micah's dad, by the way, okay, over the years that this recruiting has been a normal thing, and they've been under investigation for it numerous times. There's just a kid from El Paso whose mom has just gotten a job with the school district, and he's one of the top players in the state this year. And so it just feels like a never-ending thing there with Duncanville. And to me, this is more of a lifetime achievement punishment, meaning we think you're doing something shady like every year.
We finally got you.
And so this is we're finally going to hit you. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I just feel like there's way more to this story. But the just what you see on the surface there, the mom and Mr. Peavy are engaged. It seems like the kid and he's moved in there and he's living in that school district. That seems like he should be able to play. But obviously, I mean, there were red flags from the get-go when they ruled that he was ineligible.
Mm-hmm.
And they asked for the injunction or whatever he could play last year. It just feels like, I don't know. It just feels like there's way more to this story than we know.
And there's so many, there's a lot of casualties with the shrapnel here, when you think about it. Like his teammates on that Duncanville team, and they can say, well, you can take away the state championship, but we know who won the game, right?
Sure.
It's like, well, you can take down our banner, but, we know we're the state. And then for the McKinney kids, they're like, well, okay, so we won 2-0, but we still got beat by 20. So we're going to call ourselves state champions now? And then am I going to put that in my obit that I was a state champion high school basketball player?
I would.
Okay.
I'd claim the ring.
Do you feel...
If I felt like the other team cheated, yeah, I'd sign up for that.
Okay.
I mean, it wouldn't be the ideal way, but I'm not going to turn it down.
Yeah.
I don't know that what I won in high school is going to be in my obit, though.
Okay. I mean, some people live their high school days till their last days.
But the dent on the wall at the Little League field will. The W hit off the wall.
On the Little League field?
When you were at
high school.
It was Doubleday Field.
Doubleday Field.
At the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
That's going to go on your marker.
Yeah, it was probably more like a skim, not a dent.
We're going to call it a dent. I'm going to write your obit.
They had to redo the wall.
Yeah. It's like The Natural.
Yeah.
It went right through it. Right, Jeff?
It does feel like recruiting goes on for high schools in lots of different places.
Goodness, yes.
You know,
probably in this city too.
Would be my guess.
Yep.
With the private schools and quote some of the Christian schools or
parents just moving their kids because their kid didn't start or whatever. It 100% happens.
8-10.
You've been listening to the Morning Drive podcast from Double T 97.3. For more from Lubbock Sports Station, go to doublet973.com.